The do-fi harmonized hymn is an example of measured music, and so the unmeasured medieval melody that do-fi used for this harmonization had to be prepared or altered by him so that he could use it in a piece of measured music. The technique that he used to make the existing medieval melody suitable for use in his harmonization is called paraphrase, and all of you probably have heard of this word before in connection with literature. The word paraphrase itself comes from two Greek stems. The stem para means beyond, and phrase comes from a Greek stem or a Greek word that means something that is said, something that is written, etc. Taken together, it means to go beyond what is said, beyond what is written, etc. All of you have practiced the technique of paraphrase in your lives, for all of you surely at one time or another have heard a story from someone else, and then you have retold that story to someone else using your own words. Basically, you were going beyond what was said, what was written, etc. In fact, all of you have heard musical paraphrases before, but you probably have not known what to have called that particular phenomenon. So let's take a look at musical paraphrase, as do-fi used it to prepare Aev Miras Setall for his harmonization. Please refer to the musical example you have in which the original melody of Aev Miras Setall is presented in the top line of music, and the do-fi paraphrase is presented below it. Without being able to read music, you will be able to see in this example both of the steps involved in musical paraphrase. The first of these steps is to prescribe a rhythm for a melody. You can actually see this by taking a look at the actual note shapes in the music that you have there. Notice that the note forms in the upper line of music are almost all the same. They all have solid heads, they all have stems, and then some sort of a flag or a beam. This is a way to notate unmeasured music. Notice, however, that the second line of music provides quite a variety of note shapes and note forms. Notice that some of the heads of the notes are open in some notes and solid in others. Some of them have stems. Some of them have stems that have no flags. Some of them have stems that have flags on them. Some of them have little dots after them. In fact, what you see there is a profusion of note shapes. This is how musicians indicate rhythm in a composition. So what we can conclude by taking a look at these two examples of music placed one above the other is that do-fi has indeed prescribed or imposed a rhythm on the existing melody. Another step that is very common in musical paraphrase is to add or to change notes in a melody. This is very easy to see in your example, because you can see that there are lines extending from the notes in the original melody to those that correspond to it in the do-fi harmonization. If you were to count the notes in the original melody, and if you were to count the notes in the do-fi harmonization, you would discover that there are many more notes in the paraphrase than there are in the original melody. We can conclude, therefore, that do-fi did in fact at least add notes to this melody. I told you a moment ago that all of you have heard musical paraphrases before, and in fact think back to your own experience of hearing performances of the Star-Spangled Banner, such as those that you hear before a sports event. Have you ever heard two singers sing the Star-Spangled Banner in exactly the same way? I don't think so. All of them mess with a melody in one of these two ways. They often hold certain notes for a long time and rush over others, and almost invariably they add notes to the melody. The same sort of thing happens with those performances that you've heard of Amazing Grace. No two singers sing it alike, and also think to those auditions for those television talent shows like American Idol. Contestants on those shows usually sing familiar melodies, and they normally alter the rhythm of them and they add notes to them. This is what musical paraphrase is, and we shall encounter it again and again in this course.